This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Welcome to the Front Porch, real conversations about life, leadership, and perseverance. Each week, Dennis Polian and Jay Davis bring you inspiring stories and lessons to help you grow, lead, and thrive. Pull up a chair. The conversation starts now.
Hey everyone, welcome back. We've made it to a second episode on the Front Porch. I'm Dennis, this is Jay. First episode, you got to learn a little bit about Jay. This time you're going to get to learn a little bit about me, and hopefully you guys will have an understanding of what we're about and what we want to accomplish here with our conversations. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jay, and he's going to lead today's convo.
A lot of pressure here. Dennis was a great interviewer in episode 1. I'll try to carry the bag and see if we can make it as special as the first episode. So I'm going to kind of go a little different direction than Dennis did the first episode. Do you remember how we met?
I do. I do. We met on a Zoom.
Do I need tissues for this?
I was on a Zoom with you.
Yeah.
And
brings a tear to my eye that I remember.
Oh my gosh,
that you remember this.
I do. I Googled you during the conversation.
You were in your car, actually.
I was in my car.
Yeah.
I was in practice gear. I was with the United Football League, GM, one of the teams, and I had begun the recruiting process with an insurance carrier who I am an agency owner for now right, there was some transition in your office, and you jumped on board the team that was recruiting me.
Yeah.
So it was you, me, and the district manager. And I hadn't shaved in like 5 days. I hadn't seen my family in about 3 months, and we had just finished practice. And you looked angry and annoyed to be talking to me.
Well, I found the sweaty glow to be kind of sexy.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I get a little shine on the forehead.
So this is kind of this is your idea, right? When you asked me to do this, it was amazing. I mean, I was a little giddy. And I'm very honored to be on this podcast with you. So I think, after the first episode, kind of letting people know who we are and what we're about and what this is about. I think it's very important to let people know who you are. And so we're going to get into it a little bit, kind of your background, who you are, what makes you you, and then we'll get into some quirky stuff later. Really, the success of a podcast is really having good research.
Mm-hmm.
And
you are one of the most prepared people I've ever met.
well, I'm going to say that I'm going to kind of fail right now, but I'm going to get tidbits as this thing gets some traction. That I'm going to find out some stuff about you that you probably are going to be a little bit, hopefully shocked that I found out this stuff about you.
I won't be surprised, but I am nervous now.
But once I, kind of get into those resources, then we'll have a little bit more fun. But really, this is your idea. This is your baby, so to speak. Kind of give our viewers and listeners kind of an idea of why you want to do this and what kind of is the purpose of this podcast.
Sure. Well, one, you shouldn't be honored. I'm surprised you said yes, that you actually want to hang out with me off the clock. But the idea came from just my past professional life was so centered around relationships and so centered around sharing adversity and sharing accomplishment. And when I left that, when I made that transition, leaving football to business, now starting a small business, the level of isolation that I think I felt with myself, am I doing the right things? We talked about it in the first episode. One of the mistakes I made was I allowed myself to get sucked into something that wasn't me, and it set me behind. And in football, whether it's the off season or the season or in the middle of the game, those moments don't happen because you're surrounded by people. And I'm building and developing a team, but that's a much different experience. And I thought to myself, well, we've had such great conversations about that, and you've been such a great resource for me to help me get out of my own way, remind me of the things that I need to work on and improve, and remind me of the things that make me successful or have made me successful. And I thought, man, that would help people that are doing the same thing we are. And I think there are a lot more people doing that who have the same experiences. And it just kind of snowballed from there. I had the idea, I threw it out to somebody who was also a small business owner, and he thought it was a great idea. And then I really thought of you pretty quickly about, hey, you'd be able to carry those conversations because I'm a little more stiff, a little more buttoned up. You're a little more at ease with things than I am. So, and here we are. So I can't believe we made it to a second episode.
Well, yeah, second episode, then 202nd episode, we'll celebrate. But yeah, no. So I really appreciate you inviting me into this forum. You and I, just to give the viewers and listeners a kind of a look behind the curtain. You and I talk 2, 3, 4 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I was in my other role, I think the thing that helped us connect was, you spent 20 plus years in the football world, with Power 4 college football and NFL and, Super Bowl ring and that type of thing. And then my golf. But I made the transition it really is kind of a 180, when you think about it, what we did before and what we do now. You think it would be an easy transition.
Mm-hmm.
And all the mistakes I made, I really, I think our previous career in life really kind of helped us mesh, and kind of understand where we were coming from to this now career. And so we connected with our previous careers, and our lives are a little bit similar. But I just wanted to make sure that you didn't do stupid shit like I did.
I appreciate it. Well, you still let me make some mistakes, so thanks.
Yeah,
wasn't your money.
Oh, wow, shots fired.
Yeah.
This is the kind of conversations we have every day. So we're trying to bring it to you all to help our viewers and listeners out there. Kind of, if you're thinking about something,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a different career path, a different opportunity, a different. Making change is scary, right?
It was the scariest thing I ever did, because not only was it a career change, but it was a career change with a wife, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old,
Yeah.
a career change in a community I'd lived in for 5 years, but because of working in football, I wasn't out in the community. Now I need to be out in the community, build relationships, build trust, all of those things that really take time. And while you're trying to do that, and I believe it's the most exciting part of what I do. You have pressure from the company and from the people in your district, and the quote unquote business scoreboard that we've talked about a little bit in the first conversation. They contradict each other, and you're fighting both, and it makes it so hard to stay true to yourself, and it makes it hard for you to believe in yourself. I mean, I'm a year into it now, and I'm much more confident in my process. I believe that I know what's right, but there were some moments where I just sat in my office or after everybody went to bed at night, and I just, sat on the couch or sat out on the porch, not the front porch, the back porch, and just thought to myself, did I make a mistake? Did I do what's best for my family? And it was all those thoughts that actually started getting me going on this concept with the front porch, because I really was in a position where I was like, is it okay to admit that this is scary, that I'm scared? Can I admit that to my family? Who's been through it that I know and that I don't know? And who can I go to that, the people that thought I was crazy,
right?
We're going to say, I told you so. The people that recruited me are going to say,
which is the toughest thing to accept, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the people that recruited me are going to say, just sell more. And,
okay,
who does that benefit?
Right.
That doesn't benefit me.
Right.
So that all of that combined, man, that's a high stress level. That's scary. When I'm 50 or almost 50, I'll be 49. And I'm being compared to people who've done it for 30 years who are, 55 and way more established, and I'm only a year in. So that's and being criticized for where I am after being a year in compared to those people.
And that's a great point, because you've been ultra successful in what you've done in the football business. And I have been critiqued. Criticized is a strong word, but critiqued. But I people that love us and are part of our inner circle think we're crazy when we shift, right? When we have a paradigm shift in our life to what the hell are you doing kind of deal, And I think that's kind of the biggest thing that's connected us is that I did it, you did it, and I think that's the thing that has really helped us become really, really good friends.
Yes.
But thinking about people that love us and care about us from the outside looking in, it's a hard, it's a difficult thing for them to understand. And before we kind of get into who you are and what you're about, if you could speak to that a little bit too. To this day, my family thinks I'm nuts. I've moved around, I've taken chances, and you had that football lineage in your life and in all your experiences, and to do kind of a 180 pivot, and for us to connect, but that's beside the point. But kind of give our viewers and our listeners a little kind of insight into why and what the heck are you doing, right?
Yeah. I think the why really is pretty simple. I had already moved over 15 times, including when I was growing up in football,
right?
With my dad, and I had moved to Canada as a child with him. He worked for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and then I moved to Canada as an adult and worked for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which was a phenomenal experience. But I'd eventually gotten to the Tennessee Titans and met Jenny, my wife, and I had already moved about 15 times or more. It would take me a while to go back and actually count the cities, but we met, and I kind of knew right away, she was the one, and she was amazing about the career shift. We got married, and a year in, we moved to Texas A&M from the Titans. So we go from Nashville. She's only grown up in Kentucky and then lived in Nashville.
Paducah, Kentucky.
Paducah, Kentucky. Shout out Paducah and Reedland Regional High School. And she was phenomenal about it. And then we ended up moving to Arizona, and then here to Texas for a second time. And that's in 10 years of marriage. We moved 3 times. She never moved ever. She grew up in the same place, and she was great about it. And I was kind of getting tired.
Right.
And we had 2 kids, and they started to see me gone. Now, I left the NFL for college football because I want to have an impact on young people. I felt like I'd been exposed to enough in professional football, done enough. There was really nothing for me to prove to myself. I knew I could do it and be successful at my role, whatever that may have been at the time. And then as about 6 months into being at Texas A&M, I realized this is changing. This is going to become pro football, and we are not going to be allowed to have the impact on people,
Right,
on young people.
You can't develop people the way you used to. Right.
And then we go to Arizona and realize they want to be like Texas A&M, but aren't resourced like Texas A&M. So you can't really sustain anything that you're going to build. And then the portal opening up and NIL opening up, we all knew internally that it was coming. It just publicly wasn't talked about the way it was. And it just didn't feel right. And when we came to Texas, and I was at Baylor, at a place like Baylor, unbelievable people in leadership. And I owe a lot of people there. A lot. I've learned a ton from people like Mac Rhodes and even Scott Drew with the basketball program, President Livingstone. How they try to do things at a school that's competing at a high level with places that sell more tickets, sell more suites, have more donor base.
Right.
You have to achieve more with less, but had been able to do it. But because you have to achieve more with less, right? You're home less.
Right.
And that missing my kids was wearing on me. And then out of nowhere, I got diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and my son's at the same time he had a health issue. And it was then when we started thinking, need to get out of football. And in the interim between what I'm doing now and Baylor, I was with the USFL. Daryl Johnston was my boss.
Moose.
At the Moose.
Moose.
Probably my only favorite Cowboy from that team. You'll have to Google why. People figure it out. Super Bowl 27. He unbelievable guy. And when the UFL and the US or the XFL and the USFL merged to become the UFL, he fought for me to be a part of the new grouping of teams. So I was fortunate to be able to be a part of the first year. But that was a little bit of the straw that broke the camel's back. Some of the things that happened during the year there that just kept me from being an hour and a half away from my family. Still didn't see them at all during the season. And I just didn't think the juice was worth the squeeze there. I felt like, why don't I take a shot on myself, and did something extremely crazy. And to my parents' credit, my father's credit, when I explained to everything, he said, I don't blame you. And what can I do to help you?
Well, and professional sports is what people see as the final product on TV is not what it really is all about. Right.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. And there's a long story there and a long explanation there, but we do have to get paid. So by my agency, we're going to take a break and hear from the Napoleon agency real quick.
Life moves fast, but the unexpected doesn't care about your calendar. At the Napoleon Agency, we help successful families protect what they've worked so hard to build. From life insurance to smart coverage strategies, we tailor protection that grows with you, so you're prepared for whatever's next. The Napoleon Agency, where protection meets purpose. Visit NapoleonAgency.com or call 254-772-1444 to start the conversation.
All right, we're back. Jay was making a great point about professional football not being what you see, not the final product on television. And it's a great point because it's a business and it's entertainment. for the fan.
It's an entertainment business.
It is an
ultimately.
entertainment
Right.
business. Now, if you tell the football people that, they'll say you're crazy. No, it's a game and it's competition, and it is. But it's like the modern day Gladiator to fans, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what you don't see leading up to that day of entertainment is all of the process and preparation going into getting ready to compete against somebody else, to really put your neck on the line in front of so many people, to have your results exposed, right? Yeah. And it takes such a special commitment and process to keep your focus away from that reality and go out there and perform. And that, I miss that. And that's what I try to create in my business every day, that kind of environment, so that I can kind of feed off that, conversations like this to feed off that, because that's what keeps people going in that world. When you're working on the team side, you're on the athlete side, you're on the athlete development side, there is a common purpose, and you forget that it actually is entertainment to other people, and it becomes a part of your identity.
It does.
And those results become a part of your identity. And it took me a long time to figure that out. And the funny thing is, when I started my own business, my weekly, monthly results became a part of my identity.
And it's
because of what I allowed myself to get sucked into. And I credit you with kind of slapping me in the face and telling me to wake up. And once I came back to who I was, and we realigned some focus.
Well, and not to interrupt you, but I think that's, kind of what the purpose of this podcast and our mission is, to allow people to have a seat on the front porch and understand that you got to be true to yourself, And again, it's, we kind of alluded to it in episode 1, but it's easier said than done. But it's having good support, it's having a mentor, it's having real friends that slap you in the face and say, hey, for you and I knew what you were doing, because you and I believe in the same things, right? And what we value and what we appreciate about people and what we appreciate about the systems and the process, it may not show up on the scoreboard tomorrow, but you know what? It's kind of getting a little all over the board, but you think about the dynasties or the organizations in the NFL or college that are sustainable for a long time. And, you think about Nick Saban in Alabama, you think about Bill Belichick and the Patriots, you think about Bill Walsh and the 49ers, you think about just organizations, whether it's sports related or business, that there's a foundation, there's not a flash.
Yes.
Foundation over flash and everybody wants flash nowadays, right? And when I think of flash, I mean, Deion Sanders, primetime, pops in my head, but Deion's really, as much flash as there is there's more substance behind the scenes than flash. And that's, I think that's the connection you and I had, knowing the process and knowing that, being in development of people is, and caring about people is we all want to win, right? We all want to win, but doing it the right way and doing it systematically is really even more satisfying than just a big win. Or
it is, because it's going to last, right? You bringing up Belichick and the Patriots, that reminds me of the Cleveland Browns when he was the head coach right before they moved to Baltimore. And everybody talks about, the legacy of the Ravens the last 30 years and what a great franchise they are. That process and that system all was rooted in Cleveland with that group. Ozzie Newsome was on the staff in the front office.
He's kind of like the modern day
Yes.
your dad, Bill Polian, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were very good friends and learned a lot off of each other, which helped me and my brothers tremendously. And that kind of gets looked back on as, it's because they were in Cleveland or the move to Baltimore is what switched it. It's not. Ozzie continued the same fundamental process in Baltimore that had built in Cleveland. They just put a different logo on their shirt and played in front of a different group of fans. But that the system and the beliefs and the values were all the same. And then when the Modell family sold the team to Steve Bisciotti, he continued on that legacy of doing things with his imprint and his philosophies, but how they built that team and how they prepared to win was all started in a city they weren't even working in yet.
Right.
And that, when I struggle with some of those moments, I remind myself of teams like that. And Bill Walsh was the same way. What Bill Walsh did at Stanford.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Absolutely.
My alma mater, I'm not ashamed to say it, Villanova, what Jay Wright did at Villanova, at a school like that, resourced like that, to create that foundation, takes so much time. But guess where he was an assistant coach? Villanova, right? There was nothing magical about it. It was real process, real grit, real persistence, and real belief, and not allowing the noise to get you, which is where so many people kind of don't fail, but give up or stop or let the momentum get away from them when you see how many small business owners and entrepreneurs, or even senior executives, that are on the way, they kind of fizzle out or get distracted by all those things because of the desire for flash and immediacy.
Yeah, and you and I have daily conversations about the scorecard, and it back to our first episode when we were talking about the kind of want, the desire. It's not a want or desire. It's actually kind of a non-negotiable that you feel upon yourself that I have to be that way to be at the top of the scorecard, right?
Yep.
And it's so hard nowadays for people to understand that with this microwave society that we're in now, is that I've got to be this, I've got to be this now.
Yep.
And to say we're old school, it's not old school. It has proven over history that building it the right way works.
Yeah, fundamentals, right?
Yeah,
fundamentals and people.
Yeah,
it's
what a concept, right?
Marv Levy had an unbelievable saying, and I do believe it applies in business because it's applying in my day-to-day business. What it takes to win is simple, but it's not easy.
And
right, because it takes so much belief and
if you're ever going to be successful, it's never going to be easy. But if you keep it simple, it makes it easier to be great.
Yes, it does, and you sustain it. Because you can build a deeper,
you're not a one-hit
stronger,
wonder, right?
Exactly, business, and that's what If you're taking a risk, if you're owning a small business, or if you're trying to climb the corporate ladder, why are you doing it? You're trying to create something that lasts, something that's going to make your life down the road a little easier, live a better life, better vacations, maybe a lake house, whatever it might be. If it's worth it and if it's going to last, it's going to take time.
And I think that's really for lack of a better way to say it, the gist of this podcast is two regular dudes that have had great experiences that we want to share with people. What we've been very fortunate to be exposed to high level people, performances, organizations, and how we can really help people that are maybe thinking about a career shift, maybe thinking about how they get from mid management to top level C-suite management executives. But that's kind of what we're here for, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's where the name The Front Porch came from, which was just two guys having a conversation with people who are going through the same things, and that it's normal, right? That it's every day. But when you're scrolling your phone and you're looking at clickbait and you're getting caught up in what is really the everyday scoreboard, you can kind of forget that what you're dealing with is normal. And hopefully we provide an opportunity for people to give us feedback, to participate in the conversation with us. That would be awesome, because that's what it's for, because we're going to learn something, they're going to learn something. And that would make for a better, stronger community of people doing what we're doing and having those same experiences. It's not to be a little deep about it, but that was one of the things I loved about football, was that you had that. And what I realized making the transition out was, oh my goodness, that doesn't exist in the business world, or what I like to call the real world. And maybe there's something to trying to create that.
So I had all these pages of stuff to ask you, but while we finish up the second episode, this to talk to the viewers and listeners out there. I always want to be on a podcast, but it was really
you do have a face for radio. It's amazing.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's why I keep my hat on. But this was really your idea, and it's really it's your front porch, so to speak. And kind of pivot a little bit. I think it's really important for people to know kind of who you are, kind of where you've come from, and kind of your background. We kind of got into it a little bit in the first episode, but I think it's and neither one of us are. There's a lot of humility. We're very humble. Maybe some people in my camp wouldn't agree with that, but I can be a little. It's in a nice way, but I think people need to really know who you are and what you're about and where you came from, and kind of your credibility to speak about this.
Sure. I mean, and I always worry about sounding like I'm bragging or ungrateful or arrogant. I was so blessed. I'm the youngest of four. My dad is Bill Polian. He's in the Hall of Fame. Pro Football Hall of Fame. Was a general manager in the NFL for a long time with the Bills, the Panthers, and the Colts. And
you got a Super Bowl ring.
Got a ring because of him. And number 18 up there.
Yeah. Shout out to Peyton Manning. Love to have you on the program, bro. I met you at Bobolink, so why don't you come on the show? Omaha Productions.
Yeah, I have nothing to do with that.
Omaha.
This is why I don't like talking about it. And I, because I'm the youngest, I feel like I was exposed to more. I didn't see as much of the grind that my dad went through. He started as a history teacher in New York City and coach, and then coached baseball and football at the Merchant Marine Academy with George Paterno.
Wow. That's awesome.
And that's how we met Joe Paterno and some other people that mentored him. And he was also a college basketball referee in New York City. And in the 70s, I was born in 76. And then by the time I have memory, he was already, kind of moving up the ranks. And when I was in kindergarten, we moved to Winnipeg, and then we went to Chicago, the Chicago Blitz. But one cool thing is, so he met Marv Levy in 1976. He was a pro scout for the Montreal Alouettes. His college
I didn't
coach,
know Marv Levy was in the CFL.
he was the head coach of the 1976 Grey Cup
That's
champions. My dad scouted the U.S. because his personnel director named Bob Windish, who was like an uncle to me as a little kid, was the head coach at NYU when my dad played there, and he got him his first shot in pro football. And then Marv Levy went to the Kansas City Chiefs. My dad got a spot there, and it kind of evolved. And then and they were at the Chicago Blitz together. Fast forward, my dad gets a shot to be the GM in Buffalo, first hire. After he makes a coaching change is Coach Levy, and kind of the rest takes off from there. And I was in elementary school when we moved to Buffalo, second grade. And that's what I remember. My brothers and my sister remember, a little bit more of a tougher grind.
Right.
They called me the prince. So, but
I'll get you a crown for the next episode.
But the best part was I got to get exposed to that. And I'm so fortunate for all the things he allowed us to participate in and be a part of, because I learned hard work. I learned integrity. I learned process. And I learned never quitting, and that's all from my father, and humility. He for what he has accomplished. He is one of the most humble people I've ever been around, and he's been a great, honest mentor for me. Now that my parents wanted me to go to law school or medical school and not be in the business like my brothers, and I tried and I couldn't stay away from it, and I ended up. I sold sponsorships at the Arena Football League. I went to Tulane to be the ops director for the football program. Then Katrina hit, a whole nother experience that I use lessons from today in business. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of kept working my way up, and I did everything I could to stay away from my last name, to earn it so I wouldn't get judged. He got this job because.
Right.
And I think that did me a disservice a little bit, but it also did me a huge service in learning that as long as I'm smart about it, just outworking the other guy in a smart way, mm-hmm. I can achieve some things. So it's given me the grit and perseverance that I have today. And I was very fortunate. I knew the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers when I was a little kid, became a consultant for the Tiger Cats. He knew what I went through at Tulane. He had me meet with the head coach, turned into, hey, we have a scouting opportunity, turned into, now I'm coaching running backs. I'm doing quality control, and I'm the assistant GM, and I'm learning all these things. Then Brad Childress needs somebody at the Vikings, and the head coach at the Tiger Cats tells his agent, you need to talk to him. And then that snowballs. And then I eventually end up at the Colts for a little bit. And then same thing, somebody tells Mike Munchak and Rustin Webster and mm-hmm. Mike Reinfeld at the Titans, and the president at the time, Steve Underwood, that you need to talk to him. You need to give this guy fits you from an integrity standpoint, a work ethic standpoint, intelligence. And those opportunities just kept coming because of that.
But you didn't do it on the name. You did it on the hard work.
I would like to hope that people saw that. That's how I tried to approach it. And it was important to me that people also come up to my dad and tell him that, and express to him, hey,
and that's a cool thing, because it's, everybody out there listening and watching could say, oh, well, you got all these opportunities. You only get so many opportunities based on a name. Mm-hmm. But if you can't perform,
exactly,
then
especially at that level, right? If it is results oriented, mm-hmm. and that prepared me to make a transition to business. And as soon as I was reminded to get myself back into that mode, things changed for me, mindset wise and confidence from a confidence standpoint. And it was really neat, and it allowed, and I'm the youngest of four with two big brothers who were really successful in the business. So there's also a little bit of a chip on your
Right.
shoulder, right?
Yeah.
I have to prove it to people, but there came a point in time too where all of that exposure, I kind of realized, why do I care what you think? I don't need to prove anything to you. I just need to prove it
Myself.
to me.
Yeah.
And that's what made me comfortable enough
And a lot of people get lost
to
in
walk
that,
away
though,
from
too,
that,
right?
because
Yeah.
because now I'm taking the logo off my shirt. Now it's not as cool. Oh, now you don't have as much substance. You're not
Right.
as important to me because you don't have a logo on my shirt, which tells me, right? Hey, I can't do anything for you because I don't have that logo on my shirt anymore. So now, right?
Yeah.
It kind of woke me up to all of that, which I use as fuel today to try to build a successful business.
Right. So you and I have parallels in the fact that we came from two different industries before we got into the insurance industry. I did everything to run away because I was in a market where everybody knew me as a golfer. And you moved around, but you still have the last name Polian, right? So I did everything I could to run away from my golf background when I started in business. And I know, a year in, you've done everything to kind of run away from that a little bit, right? But you and I have had discussions that, I'm kicking myself now, and I've kind of prodded you a little bit to say, hey, that's not a bad thing. It's, I mean, you have to not use it is the wrong way to say it, but
if it opens a door, I
Yeah.
shouldn't be hesitant, which
No.
I
and it's
was.
more of an experience
Yeah.
than it is the name,
Yep.
right? And the experience of success
Mhm.
should allow people to see you as more credible, right?
Yes.
And more concerned, not about the name, but about what you've learned with that name, right? Does
Yes.
that make sense?
Yes. And I have started to not talk about that specifically, because it's all context. It depends on who you're talking to, what their interested is in. But we're in Central Texas, a very tight knit community, which we love. That's why one of the reasons we stayed here. We love raising our kids in this community, but because we're also new to this community, people have to understand we're for real and that we're here to stay and that we do things with integrity.
Yeah.
And being able to share those experiences with people who are interested in them has helped strengthen some of my relationships. And I start to realize it's not, I always worried that I would come across as arrogant or like not better than, but just so braggadocious about it that I really kind of stayed away from it. And I've realized that
Yeah.
if you're a good person, you're a good person. It's not going to come across that
Well,
way.
and I'll kind of flip it a little bit, with having the Polian name and the reverence in the professional football world, it's really not a crutch.
Well, it depends on what city you're in.
It's not a crutch. It's actually it requires you to be better.
It does.
Yeah,
it does. And more so, less that feeling comes less from what my dad and my brothers accomplished, but more from I don't want to disappoint or let
him.
them
Yeah,
down.
and that's the pressure
Yeah.
in it, right? And
Yeah.
that's what I'm alluding to is that everybody thinks that it's a gift, but it's not a curse, but it's a responsibility, right?
It absolutely is
Yeah.
a responsibility.
Yeah, it's a responsibility to. I mean, I haven't met your dad yet, and hopefully we'll have him as a guest on the Front Porch. But I mean, I'm a sports geek. I love all sports, and you know, I mean, I feel like I know your dad just on my interest in sport
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and excellence in sport, right? And that's you know, I had an opportunity to I've met Jack Nicklaus. I played against his son Gary, who played at Ohio State, and um, you know, it's like Tiger Woods and Charlie. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I mean, that name carries a lot of weight, and for uh, the legacy that um, has been solidified with that name comes a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure, and I think that's a lot of self-induced, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you still want to. I mean, I've got to show up and show out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you do. And you know, and it's really, that's one of the things it takes to be successful anyway, because of all the challenges that you're going to have, no matter what you're doing. And there were, you know, there were plenty of experiences, and there's going to be plenty of opportunity to talk about them. Plenty of experiences when I finally got to the NFL and I felt like I earned it, where I was a target,
Mm-hmm.
because of someone else's insecurity and my last
Yep.
name.
Yep.
And
Yep. That's a good
how
point.
at the
Yep.
time, whether I handled it well or not, I still couldn't tell you, but I know I could have done this differently, or I could have handled this differently, but I wasn't mature enough
Mm-hmm.
or even aware enough, because
Yep.
I'm saying to myself, I'm working harder than anybody. I'm never going to let anybody question why I'm here, all of those things. And you're just still a target. And
It's good and bad.
that
It's
it
good and
is good
bad.
and bad,
Yeah.
because it puts a little pressure on you, but it also can wear on you.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to handle it right, and there's right, like, that can apply to any situation and any person who does put pressure on themselves. And I really do feel fortunate and blessed that I got to go through those experiences.
Well, and you're a great steward for the Napoleon name, right?
Well, we'll see what they think, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I mean, you and I have been really good friends for about a little over a year, and there's a reason that we're sitting here together now. And you know, I'm fortunate to call you a really good friend, and I think we've kind of back and forth have made each other a little better. And so yeah, so you know, the podcast, it's about grit, grind, and perseverance. We're here for everybody, right? Whether you're thinking about starting a business, whether you're thinking about pivoting to a new career, if you're just getting started, or you're salty veterans like us, we're here for everybody. And with your background, my background, we're going to have some pretty cool guests on going forward. We hope everybody we want you all to tune in and listen, because we're very thoughtful in what we do. Calculated, maybe not the best term, but I think thoughtful is a really good definition of you and I, and we always have a purpose. We always have a reason for what we do every day, right? And that will be kind of the theme going forward. And we'll have some great guests on. We're fortunate to have a nice Rolodex of people to have on, and it'll be whether it's professional athletes, successful business people, people that were struggling that dug their way out of something. But yeah, it's we pull up a chair on the front porch, right? And we'll have lightning rounds. So Dennis and I are very kind of over prepared and calculated what we do. So I don't know, I had 12 sheets for, first couple episodes, and we're going to have a fun lightning round when we have guests on, but we're going to wrap it up here. But I'm for our lightning round, I'm going to ask you one question and then we'll wrap it up. What would your wife Jenny say is something that really bugs her about you?
Oh,
And what are
yeah.
what would she say if she was sitting here? What are your little quirks that she enjoys or that drives her crazy?
That everything has to be perfect. And everything, like the way I put the silverware in the dishwasher, to um, uh, how I organize the closet, all those things drive her nuts. She's a little more more easy breezy about those things.
Do you organize stuff on the grocery conveyor belt to go in the bag?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Yes,
all
I
right.
do. And I put together the grocery list based on the flow of the store.
Sure, yeah.
Because here in Texas, HEB, anybody who's been to HEB knows how insane it is every single time you go.
Right.
So I try to take a minute. Okay, how am I going to attack the list so that I can get in without?
I think maybe you and I should go to the grocery store together, right?
I don't want rumors.
This is awesome. Appreciate y'all being with us. We'll get a little bit more into who and I are as we kind of navigate the front porch. But the light's always on the front porch for everybody out there, and we hope you tune in. Like I said, we'll have some great guests, and it'll be a veritable cornucopia.
Yeah,
it
will be all over the place, and we hope it's a conversation for everybody.
Yeah. So we'll see you next episode, and just got a shout out to my grandsons, Rowan and Reese. Love y'all.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on the Front Porch. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow, share, and leave a review so more people can join the conversation. Until next time, keep showing up, keep leading strong, and we'll see you back on the porch soon.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.